In today's video, we're talking winter tactics, from venue choice and location, where are them beaming carp, to bait choice and rigs. Ow. While simultaneously testing one of Amazon's cheapest complete carp setups. The angling performed in this video is by a bang average angler, and the actions and decisions portrayed in this video are personal preference and choice may differ from other anglers' approaches. Increased catch rates cannot be guaranteed. But I hope you're entertained. Oh, and I'm doing a huge giveaway. You probably clicked on the thumbnail because of that, didn't you? Don't lie. Now, there's no denying that coming into the winter months, it gets a lot more difficult. The fish are a bit slower and they're more lethargic, they don't eat as much, and you've got to work a lot harder for the bites. But that doesn't mean there aren't results still to be had. And the first decision you've got to make is where you're going to fish. And that's why today I've chosen one of my regulars, Newton Park. Some of you that have watched me for years will recognize this place from all the way back when I didn't even have any facial pubes. I know it very well. That doesn't guarantee me a bite, but it does mean I'm not starting from scratch. It typically does quite well through the winter because there's water in it at the top of the lake. Another little stream comes in at another point. There's always flowing water coming through. It means it very rarely freezes or is one of the last places to freeze. So winter form is usually pretty good. We've had stacks of rain recently, which means there's a lot of water flowing in, and that water's got to go somewhere. Hence why I'm talking quite loud, because that waterfall behind me is shifting some serious water. The venue choice is probably the easiest part of all this, but once you're at the venue, you've got to find the fish. Location is key. It's key all throughout the year, but in the summer you can get away with it a bit more because the fish are moving around more. The odds are they come across you. But in the winter, when they're not moving so much, you've got to move more. Find them and get on top of them, because if you put a bait in front of them, that's the best way to catch them. If you're sitting somewhere where there's no fish, you're not going to catch them. So stay mobile, travel light, don't take much kit with you so you can act on a show. If you see a show, odds are there's more than one fish next to it, so you want to move on top of them. Now, with this being a venue that I already know a lot about, I've got previous winter expectations from here where I'd like to see the fish. I have seen some shows already. Deeper water is always a good place to start, but don't ignore snags. Don't ignore the shallows if the sun comes out, because the fish like the warmth as well. But I have seen some fish, so hopefully we can get some very soon. Quite often, one of the benefits of fishing in the winter is that you get much more of a pick of the swims because not as many people are on the bank. And that's exactly the case today. I am the only one here. So, where have I gone? A local favourite, of course. It's a swim that often does bites all year round because opposite me is a snaggy margin. It's a bit deeper there. It seems to always hold fish. So that's an obvious place to start when I'm not seeing as much. But having said that, I've then got a lot of open water to my right and to my left if I choose to. So if I see fish showing, I'm going to have one rod roving around and one on a spot which should be a banker spot. He says, oh, that's jinxed it, hasn't it? Oh, lovely. A kingfisher took a shit, then flew off. Wildlife clip of the year, that was, with a 70mm lens. Now, when it comes to tactics, I tend to keep things pretty much the same throughout the year. I don't tend to chop and change of rigs too much unless the situation requires me to. My lead arrangement tends to stay the same, which is a semi-fixed lead clip with about 3 to 3.5 ounce lead with a bit of tubing, so it just pins the last bit of the line down. It's all completely safe. The bolt effect is still there because the friction fit of the swivel, but once that comes free, that lead is running free, so you find that your hook holds tend to stay in because there's no pivot point for the fish to drop it, but that lead can still be ejected from that whole setup if it needs to by coming off the lead clip. Then it goes down to my rig, which if you've seen any of my latest carp fishing videos, you'll keep seeing this rig. You're probably bored of seeing it, but it's one of the Gemini Tidy Booms. It's a 5.5-inch Ronnie rig one actually, and then down the bottom I've tied on a supple braid D-loop section, which is then held in place by a bit of shrink tubing. A shot on the hook to make sure that point really flips around, really aggressive. And then the hook bait is also the same as what I tend to use throughout the year, which is a little trimmed down 15mm cell boilie. And then on top of that is a trimmed down pop-up quad, also cell. But the hook baits have changed in colour on each rod. So one of them is a pink topper, one of them is a yellow topper, just to see what happens. I've often done well on yellow up here, but then again, pink is also a really good option. And then to finish that off for added attraction around the hook bait is just a little 3-bait stringer. Now, if you've never seen these before, all you do is get your boilies straight out of the bag. They need to be dry because you then thread them onto PVA tape or PVA string, whichever you prefer. Tie them off as a set of 3, so a little triangle of freebies. Thread that down your rig, or you can wrap this around your rig, then tie it off and cover the hook. So what that does is that protects the hook link, protects the hook from everything, stops your hook bait from flying around. So if you're using a hair rig which is a bit more loose, or a KD style sort of thing where the rig could get a bit tangled around the hook bait. This is a great way of pinning that all together, stopping it from going all over the place in the air when you're casting it. But then once that dissolves in the water, that PVA, you've then got 3 little freebies around your hook bait. It's a little parcel of 4 baits, one of which being your hook bait. And that is the setup that I'm going with. So dead simple. It's where I use everywhere. Stay to what I'm used to using, because if you start chopping and changing in the winter and you don't get a result, you might start questioning your tactics. Stick to tactics you know, stick to tactics you know that work, and just look at your location and also the hook baits that you're using and things like that. And talking of bait, I'm not just putting these out, I am adding a little bit of extra traction to the swim. Yes, I am using my hooking mat to save my knees, because I'm over 30 now, and if I don't do this, my knees will be shot for the rest of the trip. And I don't want to do that, especially in the winter. Now, the bait that I'm adding for extra attraction around those hook baits are small parcels of bait. I've got a little, I think like 10 mil, 12 mil cell here. But what I've done to boost these and make them even more attractive in small quantities is soak them overnight. So yesterday I poured a whole kettle of water on top of this to make them sort of expand a bit, loosen up, and then start to draw in the liquid. But rather than just drawing in normal tap water, I chucked in a bottle and a half of essential cell, the smart liquid, and the smart cream. That's really thick liquid that goes in to start with. Because that dissolved down in the water, that liquid then became really, really sweet with loads of attractants that those boilies have soaked in. Now, believe it or not, when I poured the water into this bucket yesterday, I couldn't see any of the boilies. There's probably an inch or so above the boilies until you actually reach them. They've soaked up so much of that liquid that there's now a couple of inches until you reach the water. I think they're at saturation point now because that water isn't reducing anymore. But what that's done is boosted the attraction of these baits, the freebies, no end, but also it's made them really, really soft. They just, lightest bit of pressure, they're mushing in my hand, which is perfect for going into the winter because, as I said, the carp aren't eating as much, so when they do eat, you want something that's easily digestible. But not only that, it needs to smell good to get their attraction in there and want them coming back. If they find a bait that, one, they're not too keen on anyway, and then it's hard for them to eat and digest, they're not going to come back for it. So something like this, which is easy to digest, nice and sweet, nice and attractive, is going to be the best sort of option trying to get the fish into your swim and hopefully getting them returning and wanting some more as well. So once those hook baits are out, I'm going to catapult a few of these over the top and just add a bit more attraction to the swim. And throughout the session, I'm going to keep on topping it up, little and often, not too much because I don't want to overfeed them, but I do want to get a bit of attraction around my hook baits. Right, I've waffled for hours. Let's get these rods out. This one's going to that far margin spot I was on about, and I have already clipped this one up, so hopefully it goes out without a problem. Let's test the accuracy with a rig on. Looking good. Dink. Oh, perfect. Does the job. And we're fishing. If anyone makes catapult handguards, send me a message. I love this catapult, but oh, it does that constantly. Now, whilst we wait for one of those rods to hopefully bust off, let's chat about the kit that I'm actually using on this trip and let it be known that this isn't a sponsored video. I bought this kit off my own back with my own money that I've earned through YouTube. So if you want to help support the channel and more content like this, simple, subscribe. Something like 80% of you that watch aren't subscribed. So if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button and helping me out, that'd be mega. And also like the video and comment. It helps boost engagement and reach, gets this video seen by more people, grows the channel, which in turn gives me more budget, more videos to hopefully entertain you. That's enough of a little plug. How much did I spend on this? Well, normally it's around £136, but unbeknownst to me, after checking right now, I actually got this on a Black Friday deal for £109 and 2p. So let's see what £109 and 2p gets you these days. And is it any good? Well, first things first, the whole kit comes with a dedicated rod bag. And actually everything within this kit is within this bag with extra room for other items. So you've got an outside pocket here for nets, distance sticks, things like that. But in the bigger pocket on the outside is where I've actually got my nets. There's a bit of a stink bag sort of material at the top. On the inside, yeah, it's the wipe clean, but then on the inside, it's the normal material. So it's a half stink bag on the outside for your nets and things like that. But it has got everything in here that I need to get fishing. So if I unzip it, again, not sure how long these zips will last. They feel quite flimsy. But when you look at the budget or the price that I spent, you can't complain, considering that inside here are 2 rods held in place with strings or little ties like that, which I'll undo to remove one of the rods and undo the other side. I've seen some expensive rod bags which don't have ways of retaining the rods within them. So although there's only little bits of string, it's absolutely fine. It stops them from moving around too much in there. And there's dividers for the reels in there, so they do actually fit in there in between each other and not clatter about. Rods and reels we get onto in a second to see how they perform. On the other side of this divider, I've then got another bit of string holding in my pod, which has the 2 bite alarms on the uprights, the crossbar, sorry, and 2 butt rests as well. So all of that is within the kit. And this is a nice small, very lightweight setup, which will fold around and tuck at the back of your swim or in your bivvy, not taking up too much room, and it's not heavy carrying it around. So yes, it's a little bit clunky. It's not that great for protection, so I wouldn't be too ferocious chucking your rods in and out your car or around on the swim when you're fishing, but it gets everything here. So that is the rod bag and everything that it holds within. Now, what about the pod? Well, it's lightweight and it's your classic starter pod. I believe I started my carp fishing life with a pod similar to this, and it's your basic tripod type of setup, or 3 arms on each end with a little cog at the end that loosens off, and you fold out the upright and the 2 feet. The feet are adjustable. I think most of it's adjustable actually. Tighten it back down to lock the pod in place there. Same this end. So it's quick to set out, and that is the base of the pod. Ready? Then you've got 2 crossbars, which comes with butt rests, which are going to screw on each end. Now these are exactly the same length. I'm expecting them to have the rods pointed in, which is one of my little bugbears with setups. I don't like my rods facing into each other, but that's a small price to pay for something that gets you fishing. Then the other crossbar, which I've tangled up the hangers, or bobbins, shall I say, unwrap them. Which one thing I did notice when I was setting this up yesterday, they are some of the longest bobbins I've ever seen. So you probably could shorten them down, but considering this pod is so high, it probably is quite dramatic when you get a bite seeing those bobbins swing up and down by about 5 foot at a time. But they do the job. And then we got 2 bite alarms as well. Now the batteries these take, it didn't come with batteries. I think it's the A23 or the LR, something like that. I'll probably have it on screen what the batteries are because I had to Google around. But those are the batteries that they take. And they've got a volume, which turns them on. And that's also the on button and the tone as well. So have I got anything to run through the alarm quickly? Wow, that was loud. Good job I'm the only one on the bank. Let's turn the volume down. So they go stupid loud, and they got tone function on them as well. But let's screw that onto the upright. And there we are, all set up. Now this thing, as expected, weighs absolutely nothing. In total, I say it's less than 1 kilo. That's probably like 700 grams, something like that. Oh, Robin has just landed on the tripod behind me. Morning, Robin. I've not really got any bait for you today. And now he's on the screen. If only you could see this. That's another really nice thing about winter, is the wildlife seems to get quite tame because they want to see what bait you bought for them. I wish I could see this right now. He's sat on the screen that has got me on. Just waiting. Oh, no, he just pooed on it. Lovely. Tell you what, if he stays there. Pooed again. Stay there. There he is. Morning, buddy. Don't poo on top of it again. I'll get you some bait in a minute. I'm just filming. He's now on my camera bag. But as I was saying, this pod will do exactly what you need it to. Probably best if the bites are forwards and backs, because like I said, I think if you get a bite to the left or right, because this is so top heavy, it's likely to topple over. But you can also adjust the length of it. So it goes really, really long. Close that down and lock it off. Whoa. And then also the legs adjust as well. So it's simple, it's basic. Will it last a long time? Probably not. Will it get you fishing? Yes, it will. So that's set up. Now I've got the front of the swim, and we'll get the rod set up and get fishing. Onto the rod and reel, because yes, the pod's nice, the rod bag and the extras you get with this, but the main thing of this kit is that you get a complete carp setup when it comes to rod and reel, which also comes preloaded with line. I'd easily say that's around the £15 mark, maybe slightly more, kind of a burgundy colour, but it's nice that it comes with line all ready to go, perfectly up to the task. I have tested it to make sure, and it is. And this reel is a Mitchell GT Pro Carp 50FR. All that FR stands for is this little switch back here. Click that over and it puts it into a free running mode, which is what I think the FR stands for. Different brands have different names for it, but that's the same process. And then once it's clicked back down, you go into the preset drag, which you have set with the front drag there, which is adjusted here to make it looser or tighter. And that clutch feels really smooth, so it'll be interesting to see how it performs with a carp on the end. So nice and simple. And then the rod itself is also under the same brand name. It's a Mitchell GT Pro Carp. It's a 12-foot rod, 2.5 pound test curve, so plenty strong enough. I think I started my fishing with 1 3/4 pound rods, maybe 2.5 pound rods, maybe a bit more. I can't really remember, but I know they were softer action and they did the job forever. I think in the carp world, we'd admit that we've been sucked into this mindset that you need big pokey rods to fish, when actually you don't. If you go to lighter action stuff, it is good fun. This is absolutely perfect for this venue. I'm not going to catch anything that this won't manage. I'm not casting any distances that this won't manage either. But talking of that, we need to actually give it a try. This is a 12-foot rod, so it should cast easy enough. The venue I'm on is only a few acres in size. Handle length is pretty long, although I'm talking sort of angling journalist style now. It's not about that, but it should still cast out a 3-ounce lead nice and easily. Little creak from the blank. That's easily just gone 60 yards on a first flick of the day. So wind that back in, make sure the line is bedded in nicely. There's a little creak from the rod as I cast. You'll get that with any new rod. That's just all the whippings, the gloss, the carbon all creaking, setting in. You'll get those odd little cracks. It sounds ominous. Don't worry. Unless your rod's snapping in two, that's what a new rod tends to do. I'm going to do this for both rods. Just have a little cast, bed the line in nicely, and get all the setup on and actually get fishing, which by the time you're watching this segment of the video, I'm already doing. So hopefully the fish are playing ball. Ooh, that's a lot of fizzing. Ooh, that's a hell of a lot of fizzing. That's a carp. Right, waste of time. I was about to recast the rod down there, but a load of bubbling's just come up further down, and it's definitely not a gas pocket. That's a carp feeding or moving through the bottom. Yeah. Right, so wind in, do exactly what I said, stay mobile, move down there, see if we can move on to some fish. Because it has not happened in this swim. Ooh, still fizzing. Well, after seeing that little jacuzzi session from a carp in the swim I'm now in, of course I had to bring the rods in and move. Although I was about to recast in the swim I was originally in, just to put it down the margin, it would have been just moving the rod for the sake of it to try a different spot. That was the first proper sign of a carp moving around or feeding. So I've moved up here. Right hand rod has gone into the near side margin. I'd actually put some boilies in there probably a couple of hours ago because I had a little wander up and down the bank, put some boilies in a few likely looking margins just in case they moved in on them, or if I move like this, I could put a rod on a spot that was already some bait, hopefully doing something for me and bringing some attraction in. The left rod, I just tied on a little mesh bag of crumbed up boilie this time. Ping that out underarm to where the bubbles roughly were, because of course once I got here the bubbles stopped. This sod's law, but it's in the vicinity of where those bubbles were, and I put a couple handfuls of the soaked boilies over the top of that. So again, small little traps, not much bait, moving around, hopefully that pays off. But as I said, and as you clicked on the video and saw in the thumbnail, there is a big giveaway in this video. So let me tell you a bit more about it and how to get involved. Now there's stacks to get through, but of course the first thing on the list is the Amazon Carp Bundle I've been using on this trip. Not only all the stuff you saw me unbox from Amazon, but also I'm going to leave all the terminal tackle that are on those rods on there so that whoever wins it can have a look firsthand how I fish, deconstruct it if you wish, or take it all off and not use it if you don't want to. That's completely up to you. But also, to land a fish, you need a landing net, and that didn't come in the kit. So I'm going to chuck in one of my personal ones. It's a Nash H-Gun 45-inch landing net. And once you've landed a fish, of course, you then need to care with it on the bank. Now, I know you can get cheap ones online, but that's some aspect of carp fishing I don't think you should really skimp on when it comes to the carp care side of things. So I'm going to chuck in one of my unhooking mats as well. But that's not all. I'm also going to be chucking in a bivvy light and a power bank. Oh, and a chair. I forgot the chair. Everything. On to the rest of the goodies. Now, all of these people and companies are people I've worked with since I go freelance with Nothing But Fishing back in the summer. So a massive thank you to them all for supporting the channel, but also for getting on board with this competition giveaway. And first and foremost is Mainline baits. There's 10 kilo of sail up for grabs, loads of hook baits, and a couple of bottles of Smart Liquid. The guys at Catch are offering up a free pro subscription, which is worth £45.
Which includes enhanced catch report data recording, exclusive rewards and discounts, along with no booking fees.
Then that brings you on to Gemini, of which I use their products all the time, even on this session. And they're supplying £150 worth RRP of their products, which includes
6 Gemini 100% fluorocarbon fused leader quick change swivels, 5 packets of Gemini 5.75mm diameter and tiny stems, 12 Gemini flat pair inline nets, 8 packets of Gemini tiny booms variants, Ronnie spinner combi and turbo German, 6 packets of Gemini tiny rigs, turbo Germans and Ronnies, and 4 packets of Gemini PVA bags.
Thanks, Gemini. Then we've got a big bundle of leads coming from my lead supplier, Paul at Donk Leads. And lastly, but definitely by no means least, a Terreign hat and a Terreign hoodie, but not any old hoodie, a Nothing But Fishing one, of which this is currently a 1 of 1 in the world, so you'll be getting the second one ever made. Currently, mate, just a small YouTube channel, don't get ahead of yourself. Now, how to enter is nice and simple. All you got to do is make sure you subscribe to me and hit the bell icon, and then comment in the comment section down below. It doesn't really matter what you say because I'm picking it at random, but if you want to be nice, that's always a bonus. Now, I know not everyone does social media, but if you want to double your chances of winning this giveaway, then all you got to do is find the thumbnail for this video over on my Instagram, like it, and tag 3 mates. That's it, you're entered once again. And this giveaway will close and a winner will be announced 2 weeks after the posting date of this video. Good luck, everyone, and again, a massive thank you to everyone that's got involved in this awesome giveaway. Back to the fishing. Go on. Finally, right at the death. We're in. Oh, finally. I got to be off the lake in probably 15 minutes. This is why it pays to stay until the very end. Nice. And it is freezing now. The sun's set. The temperature's dropping. I can see my breath. The mist is coming up off the lake now. Oh, but finally, we got a fish. Right, let's land it. Rod is doing everything it needs to. Plenty of backbone in that. Here comes my fish. Lead's still on. Don't need to ditch it. Come on. Keep on coming. He ain't the prettiest, but he'll do. Blank saber. Hey. No jokes. I have to be off the lake at 4:30, and it is. Thought in those reverse, but it's 4:15. That's how close to the wire this session was. But we got one. Right, let's quickly film it, and then I got a hot foot to the car park. And there we go. Well, I'm not gonna lie, this is what's known in the industry as a warrior, a character. In other words, a bit of an ugly fish. It's been caught quite a few times. It's not the prettiest. He's been in a few scrapes in his lifetime, but it's a blank saber and a pretty decent size of that. I know I'm filming quite close to the camera, which can often give the perspective of a much bigger fish. But I've got to say, this one's pushing up towards the 20-pound mark. And on a day when the temperature barely got above 4 degrees, I think today, very, very welcome. I've got to get this fish back though, back to the car park and head on home. But at least I'm going home smelling of fish after a thoroughly enjoyable day on the bank by myself, other than the robin and the kingfisher that kept me company all day. All round, brilliant day. Hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe try some of the tactics I've shown you in this video. Give it a try for yourself, and don't forget to get involved on that giveaway. Mega. Let's get him back and head on home.